Hi everyone, I hope you're all ready for Christmas. This is 2021 that I'm filming this, and it is the day before Christmas Eve. I'm making a film today which I had not planned to do, and it is completely different, and it's in here. It may be successful, it may not. You may never see this footage, you may, I don't know. It's something I have planned to try for many years. And finally last night I had one of my step-granddaughters come around and we made the walls and the roof of a gingerbread house. And we were putting in isomalt for the windows, and this morning I decided to do a test piece because we're actually constructing them all tonight. This was a reject, it's a little bit wonky, but I filled it with isomalt. In fact, I think this one wasn't isomalt, this was a clear peppermint sweetie that or sweeties that I melted in the microwave, added a little, because this is a side wall with a window, obviously a little bit wonky, and I added a little center effect with silver balls. Still not really sure which is the right and wrong side, to be honest. I mean, that's the side that I filled in, so it's a little bit indented. That is sort of level. Not really sure. Having never made a gingerbread house in my entire life. But thanks to YouTube, of course, we're having a look at this. Okay, this is really yummy gingerbread, and I had far too much of it last night. And I am going to attempt to engrave the windows. Of course, you have to. So let's see. I have no idea what I'm going to use, whether I use diamonds. If I do, I sort of imagine, in my mind, I'm thinking they're going to clog up very quickly. But running it really slow, I'll experiment at about probably 10,000 RPM. Not sure. Obviously, this is not like glass. It's tough as anything, but obviously not as tough as glass. I expect this will scratch very easily. So by running it not too fast and moving along quickly, it shouldn't heat up. So in other words, hopefully it's not going to clog up a diamond if I use a diamond. And I've got so many old diamonds it doesn't matter. Now I know you're all thinking glass, old bird, diamond, whatever, poison. Not. This is a scrap piece. That's the one that didn't work. I might use a new diamond actually, just for that purpose, not to have glass bits in it. And yeah, I've also got tungsten carbide bits, which I never use, obviously, because I don't need them for glass. I just happen to have them. But I think that little flowers, maybe sort of at one corner and at the other corner a little, that would be quite pretty. I'm expecting it to be quite pretty, I hope. I might even engrave on both sides for a little bit of 3D. And of course, inside the gingerbread house, I will have maybe some sparkling or flickering little fairy lights, so that obviously if I've engraved this, they're going to show up. And this is the plan anyway. Yeah, I haven't got my edible pens with me. I never thought to bring them, so obviously I'm just going to go freehand straight onto it, and it's not that difficult. I'm only going to do some little flowery bits, but I think it will be jolly good fun. I'm so excited. Anyway, so let's get on with it.
Right, starting off with a brand new, very tiny little diamond burr. And at this point, not a clue what it's going to do to this little bit of sweetie. As I say, it's a melted peppermint, and so goodness only knows. And as you can see, this little diamond really didn't do an awful lot. I decided to not edit the funny bits out, but so you can see my little gingerbread house window journey. So going incredibly slowly, it literally was about or between 5 and 10,000 RPM, and that little diamond was pretty useless. I decided to use this interesting shape only because I never use it, and the top obviously is new, so the top will be very sharp, and again going about 5,000 RPM, it worked a little bit better. I did have to keep wiping it because the little crystals were accumulating on the end of it. But as you can see, it was potentially quite exciting. Certainly making a little mark. I wasn't going very deep at this point. I was obviously very aware that any faster or, and deeper, well, to go deeper, I would have had to be going faster, and that would have meant that the burr would have got warmer and would have, quite frankly, I think, just melted into the sweetie mixture. So I decided to stick to the surface. Now, it's all new, the material's clean that it's lying on, but I decided to use this block to clean the top each time just because it was easy. So I don't think it would have done anything dangerous. Anyway, right, so it seemed to be working, so I literally dabbed it on the block and then dabbed it on to the sweetie. And it was making quite a nice little effect. I really didn't know which was the back and which was the front, but at the moment, the smoother side, the side where it is all flush, I decided was going to be the outside of the house, or the outside wall, and so I just kept that in mind as I was doing my flowers. So pretty much as I do with beginners, this very, very simple little flower, a little bit of surface engraving, and then pulling it from outside to in, just to give it that little bit of brightness. And anything I wanted dark, I absolutely left as clear peppermint sweetie. Now, I must say that I made the wall of the gingerbread house. I baked it with just having scored the shape of the window. Then when it was cooked, I cut out the window, and then I melted the peppermint sweeties in the microwave and simply poured it in. That way the wall did not collapse, it didn't move inwards, because it had the shape of the window still intact. It kept its shape, and it just meant it was easier to cut it out once it was cooked, and literally as it was still very hot. So there you can see, when I held it up, you could see nicely through the peppermint sweetie to the other side. Now I've turned it over and I'm engraving more flowers on the other side, so we have a little magical 3D effect. Now, as I said in the introduction, if anyone tries this or has tried it or would like to experiment and let me know how you get on, what you've used, I would be absolutely thrilled to hear any stories, because certainly I had never tried it and I've never known anyone else to have tried this, and so I had nothing to go by at all. You will notice that in the window there is a sort of a mesh effect, and that is because I did actually, when I poured the liquid, obviously very, very hot, melted sweetie into the window shape, it was on a very special baking mat. And the baking mat it's like a silicone-y kind of rubbery effect, and it had a slight texture to it, and that's what those marks are on the window, which are rather nice, really. It's an amazing material. So I decided now to add some leaves, starting off with a very simple outline. Quite frankly, you know, this sort of thing, you can leave them as a simple outline. I think they were quite effective. On both sides, of course, so carrying on with the 3D effect. Of course, I envisaged this house having little fairy lights inside, so to hopefully show up the engraving. Now, I would like to see this as an alternative, as colour. And I know that in gingerbread houses people try and create the effect of stained glass, but I would really love to see almost a real stained glass effect, or just a painted glass effect. I just would love to see that. So if anyone has a go at that, do let me see it. I'm so excited about it. So you can see I'm doing that very simplified effect for the leaves, just pulling roughly from the outside to the inside, and that gives the impression of the little veins coming from the middle of the leaf outwards, and basically the fold in the middle of the leaf. There is a tip I must mention, and that is the fact that this sweetie is ever so slightly tacky, and therefore when you are creating the dust, so I learned as I went along, try and flick it away from the center of the glass effect, the sweetie, because it can stick to it. There's so much to learn. I look forward to next Christmas because I am sure I will try this again. I have different things in mind. I decided at this point that I wanted to try and go deeper, and so what I have in my drill is a tungsten carbide burr. Now, of course, I do not use this on glass. It has got this sort of, I don't even know how you describe it. If you look up tungsten carbide burrs, it's sort of got a spirally effect on the burr. And I found also going really, really slow, it was quite effective. And it, as you can see, was very easily and successfully going quite deep into the middle of the flower. Now you could see I was creating a little bit more dust, and this is when I was starting to realize that it was getting stuck on the sweet. I also realized that, okay, because it's obviously has got ridges, deep ridges into the tungsten carbide burr, that it was collecting this more, and it was quite easy to get out. I think because it's quite brittle. Even with my fingers, I could sort of squish the burr between my fingers, and the little bits of brittle sweet would just come out of the tungsten carbide quite easily. So creating quite a lot of dust now. It's kind of going everywhere, but it's creating depth on the outside of the petals, just making the flowers stand out just that little bit more. At this point, I was still quite excited, but not completely convinced that this was 100% successful as an exercise, but intriguing. What I never did do is try and add colour. I was at work, so I had nothing to add as colour. And if I had taken a little paintbrush at this point with a little bit of colouring, I imagine that would have gone nicely into the deep ridges. I imagine. So the next time I ever try this, that is going to be what I experiment with. And even with a powder colouring, there's some beautiful powder colouring. Yeah, I'm showing you how the brittle bits are stuck inside and how actually they don't cause a major problem. I think I have at this point lost the battle of the dust. So I'm going deeply into the flowers on both the back and the front. There you can see it's too late. That has actually got stuck into the sweetie and I can't get it off. And what can you do? And I've lost a little silver ball. So it all started going a little bit pear-shaped. Still not knowing which is the right and the wrong side, but hey ho. So it certainly is, it's doing something. It's sort of showing up, isn't it? I love the bubbly effect. I love the rustic effect, almost like very ancient glass. So I'm back with the tungsten carbide and decided to add some little swirly bits, some swirls and twirls. Going slightly deep. You can see there, because I was going a little bit more aggressively, it was melting up straight away into the burr. But I think there's potential. I think we can do more with this. I wonder if this had just been isomalt rather than a peppermint sweet, whether it would have been more successful. So I need to tell you at this point that there's no great happy ending to this video. As the time went on, this sweetie kind of settled into itself, and the engraving kind of diminished somewhat. And the whiteness was no longer there. There was a vague hint of the depth that I went to. And that is why I say that I think that adding a little bit of colour into those troughs that I had made would have possibly worked and made quite a difference and been very pretty. But this dear little window sadly was not used in the gingerbread house, and I made other windows with colour. As this one just disappeared almost to nothing. But hey ho, hey guys, honestly, you had to give it a go. It had to be done, it had to be tried, and I think there must be a way. There's something else we can use. So I hope you enjoyed this little experiment. The gingerbread was delicious, by the way. And do let me know if you ever do. I'd be absolutely delighted to see. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and all the best for 2022. Bye for now.